it's been a bit of a journey since the last time I was on here. As I said, December is a lighter schedule this month because of just everything I'm up to. My guest is the one and only Geoff Weber. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it was a pleasure to come on. I don't know what they ever told you about me, but whatever they told you is probably true. So I'm just letting you know that up front. So what's been going on, man? How's your December been?
It's been good. It's been good. I'm been a little bit light on the comics work, but I'm trying to get back into it. I'm trying to get back into the groove. I got other things that I do outside of comics that have been kind of taking my attention away from it, but you always keep feeling that pull. I can't get away from it.
Just when you think you're out, they pull you back in, or
Just
something.
when I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
No, it's been a weird week. Last week, my storage locker got broken into, which was
you mentioned that to me. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What happened with that?
I'm not entirely sure. Like, this is the thing. I think if I were to make an educated guess, the person who broke in was probably someone that had a storage locker in the complex, because that makes the most sense, right? Mm-hmm. And he hit as many lockers as he could at the door. So he got a couple of my long boxes. Now, he didn't get a ton of other stuff, but most of my storage locker was intact. So I mean, it was probably like a quick, like, desperate whatever. But dude, I don't have my Silencer comics anymore from DC back in.
That sucks. Yeah. It's even if it's nothing like of monetary value, it's like the sentimental value. You collected it, you saved it. It's
see now here's where this gets odd. So I'm actually going to be selling my comics soon.
Okay.
Like almost all of them.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Yeah, almost. I'm going to keep a few. At this point in my life, like what I've come to the conclusion is if I'm not personally enjoying it, I don't know if I should have it, if that makes sense. Right?
Are you going through that like Marie Kondo type of phase?
Well, I'm actually, you know what, honestly, so when I was in my 20s, I ended up working for a guy that worked in comics and novels, and it did not go well. Like, it went terribly well. So terribly, in fact, like, it is the only job I've ever had that I've had to pay money to work there. It's a weird story. I'm not going to go deeply into it, but long story short, at the end of it, I was left with virtually nothing. And the lesson I learned there was, like, things don't really matter. And it sounds like weird, but if you're not, no, there are things I love. There are things I really enjoy. There's these little joys in life that really mean something to me. But okay, even my books, like, I mean, books, CDs, everything, all this entertainment stuff I've accumulated over the years, most of it I'm either never going to see again, or it doesn't create a sentimental feeling anymore. And if that's the case, why should I have it? You know what I mean? Right? I mean, if I really wanted to invest in money, I'd actually invest in stocks or bonds or something, like collectibles would be part of it, but wouldn't be like what it is. So now I'm just looking at the stuff I really enjoy, and that's what I want to keep. And that's true with comics, true with my books. Like, I might have 100 books when it's all said and done. That sounds like a lot of books, but it's really not compared to what I've had. Might be down to maybe like 1,000 comics, which again doesn't sound like, it's not really a lot.
Well, plus if you have so much stuff to the point that you have to put it in a separate storage space, you can't really even enjoy it.
Exactly.
So all it is just, costing you money.
Yeah. Well, yes. Well, there's that. And there's, I mean, the pandemic, so I was in Windsor, Ontario. So my storage locker's in Calgary, where I'm at right now. So my storage locker was here for 3 years without me seeing any of my stuff. So I don't have the same connection to that stuff anymore like I did. I just don't. Right? So there's no way to do that. Now, I still love comics. I still love, like, certain books, and I'm always going to have a bit of those certain books. But maybe my Green Lantern run, I'll just have my favorite Green Lantern books in the Green Lantern run, and that's it. And like, maybe the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles run I'm on right now, and a few other books that are really, like, either moved me or were my favorites.
Yeah.
Right.
Or,
Right. That's it.
yeah. If you went 3 years without, missing it, then I guess maybe you don't really
Yeah.
need it.
So, well, that's just it. Like that's life, right? Like when you go without and you go through things, you just realize like most things, like what we truly and honestly need, um, that's a very small number. Honestly, it's not what people think. And like, yeah, you want to have joys in life. Like life isn't just about the bare essentials either. But it's amazing what happens when you're like, I don't need all this stuff anymore. Like, what can I do with it? You know?
Yeah.
So in
Throw it
an odd
away,
way,
sell it, donate it.
yeah. Well, that's just it, right? And so in an odd way, they might have done. I like. Here's the other catch, right? I don't know exactly the issue stolen all of them. I know some of them, but not all of them. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's a good binder, a good one, a bad one. So there's one long box. I'd be really sad if it was stolen. Just one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. The rest of them, I mean, some of the things in them would make me sad, but I've read them. I've enjoyed them. There's a few I'm hoping to read and enjoy again. You know what I mean? Like when I was checking in my locker, I still have my. So one of my favorite series back from like the early 2000s was Wasteland by Christopher Mitten and Anthony Johnson. I have the whole run.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and even stuff like anything that was mass produced, for the most part, it's replaceable if you have the will and a little bit of means.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's not like I can't replace this stuff either, but some of it I'm not going to legitimately miss.
Right.
And so in an odd way, it might have made me money. And that's a weird spot. It's like on the one hand, it's like, yeah, it kind of sucked. But on the other hand, it's like, you're getting
The
rid of this.
insurance claim is maybe
Yeah.
that's guaranteed money versus maybe you could sell it.
Yeah. So shrug, you know, it's kind of one of those weird moments where it's just like, it oddly works out. And I mean, I was a little bummed. I mean, it was weird, but I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah. I mean, nobody starts their day being like, I want to get robbed.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And like I said, it's only like 3 long boxes. Maybe a couple other things I'm not aware of are gone,
Sure.
but most of the stuff in there is not. It's like, again, there's a handful of things that really matter to me. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's weird, right? So that was my, like, I seem to, it's weird to me because it's like, everyone's like, aren't you down? It's like, no, not really. I
I
mean, it's
mean, it's
dark and
kind of
weird.
cool, I guess, that you're at peace with it. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, it's not the first time. It's not the first time in life, like my house, like anything of mine's been robbed. I remember when I was a kid, our house, my dad and when I was with my dad, our house got broken into, and I will never forget this. I'll never forget this for as long as I live. The little things that got stolen for money, I remember. But here's the things that got stolen that I kind of don't understand to this day. For example, frozen blueberries. They stole frozen blueberries. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Now here's the one that'll make you laugh. This one I still don't, even all these years later, I don't understand. They stole the coffee beans, but not the container the coffee beans were in. They cleaned out. I'm serious. They cleaned out everything, but
Maybe they
they left the container. They left the container. So we're like why? Like
I don't.
yeah,
That's a
yeah, yeah. You think about it, it's like, I kind of get you stealing the coffee beans, but why didn't you just take the container?
I've
Right?
had my I've had my car broken into multiple times, but it was always like I didn't really have anything worth stealing in my car, like maybe some like loose change.
Hmm.
And it was always like the cost of the window was like way more than anything they could have stolen. So I probably would have been better off just leaving my car unlocked.
Yeah, sometimes it's how it goes. I'm throwing it like this, right? Right, but that's the thing. Like when you go through these experiences, right? They don't wreck you the same way because you've been there.
Yeah.
So like it sucks, but I mean, life in general, like you can only control what you do.
Mhm.
Right. So you try not to make mistakes. I mean, is it possible I made a mistake this time around? Maybe. I don't know. But I mean, things happen, and that's just life.
So I'm glad it did end up putting a big damper on your outlook. That's good.
Yeah, nah. I'm too old for that shit. I'm too old for that shit. It is what it. Life is what it is, and it's about what's next, right? And I mean, I'm back in Calgary, kind of like purging my shit, dealing with any business I want to deal with. That's it, right?
Nice.
And then I'm taking off next year, and I'm going to be traveling on the road again. I mean, that's kind of the master plan.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you heading?
All over Canada and the United States. So the pandemic kind of just made me like I get to talk to people from all over the country, like not just Canada, the United States too. I'd love to meet some of you, and I'd love to actually go hang out and do cool shit and kind of go on an adventure for a little bit. And that's kind of what I want to do. That's where I want to take the show next. Actually, that's what I want to do with the show next. So that's the plan. Yeah, totally. Take the show on the road. That's kind of the whole deal next year. Probably by the summer next year, I want to be out of here. Like that's the plan.
Meet some of the different creators in the different comic scenes and hit up some conventions maybe, or
yeah, that's the metal bands, the actors. Like I've interviewed all kinds of people. So there's all this cool shit happening all the time. And again, the world's what you make of it, right? So the world's a magical place, and there's lots of magic out there. You just have to go out and go for it, and that's kind of what I want to do.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's my plan for next year. So what's your plan for next year? What's your plan for world domination?
Well, my plan is I'm trying to get this comic thing published. I got a Kickstarter running this month. It's called Stupid Kids. It's an anthology. I've actually had it sort of sitting in waiting in the wings for almost a year now, waiting to publish it. There was always one other thing that I had to do first before I could get to it, and that thing ended up being like, oh, taking a little longer and a little longer. And this is an anthology, so I had a whole big group of creators that were getting antsy, and they were like, when are you gonna we've been waiting a year now, when are we gonna finally launch it? So I finally was just all right, it's happening in December, so here we are, it's launched. This is an anthology project I've been wanting to do for a little while now. I had a bunch of just funny little anecdotes from my childhood, and everybody has these kind of anecdotes of some time that you were like doing something maybe a little ill-advised, some crazy shit went down, and somehow you made it through okay. And that's kind of those kind of stories. Everybody has those kind of stories, but those are always kind of like the most interesting stories sometimes to hear. So I was I'd been watching how creators got together and how they would do these anthologies, both as an exercise in comic making, but also had other benefits like great opportunity to do networking with creators, chance to work with some people that you might not have worked with otherwise, a chance to put out a big book where you don't have to draw and write 100 pages on your own. You only have to do maybe your little section, and everybody else, and you get the whole book done in just a fraction of the time. All kinds of interesting reasons to go through with doing it like this. And I had a couple stories from my childhood that had been kind of the ones that always get repeated. Like my parents always bring up the time that I tried to play mad scientist and stuck the coat hanger in the electric socket, or some of the ones that people submitted to me, were like, the kids that would just come up with like the craziest games when they were bored, like throwing a knife into the air and laying on the ground and hoping it doesn't land on you. Not everything is about like bodily harm or potential bodily harm. Some of it's just about like, when we're little kids, sometimes we are scared of, the monster in the closet or the Bigfoot in the backyard, or, we think if we can, build a big enough kite, we can fly around the neighborhood, or, we have all kinds of crazy ideas. And I just wanted to make a book that paid tribute to those stories.
So, was socket one the craziest thing you ever did?
It's probably the closest to death I ever came. I had just by luck, in an electrical socket, there's like the two little slots that the prongs go into, right? And one of those goes to ground, and one of those goes to live. And if you stick a wire or something conductive into the live one, electricity is going to flow through the wire, through your body, and into the ground. See, I just happened to stick it into the ground side first. So when I put the other end of the coat hanger into the other side, it didn't go through my body. It just went through the wire and into ground. So I burned my hands, but I didn't stop my heart. So just
No.
I had a 50-50 chance.
Well, hey, someone was on your side. Let's see. I did all kinds of stupid shit as a kid. Not bodily harm stuff very much. I mean, I used to love pro wrestling while I was a kid. I mean, I remember we actually would come up with for us it was hockey, like various forms of hockey, or we do like King of the Mountains kind of stuff, right? And I mean, you want to see kids that are most violent, just throwing people off of like snowbanks and stuff like that.
Oh sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, this is the stuff we did as kids, and it was always fun. I mean, sometimes even I still remember one time because we had this little like we would do this all the time. We would play after school, like especially in the release day when the snow was really high. We'd play after school. There's a spot where there's snow. We all get piled and we just play. Oh, some of the people that some of the other people that would come up with and play with us is just like, what the hell? Like it drew people in. I don't know. There's just something about like danger and fun that kind of just merges together. If there wasn't a little dangerous, it wouldn't be a little fun. Now, I'm not advising anybody to throw a knife in the air and try to catch it with your body in various parts and hope it doesn't miss you. That's insane. But I mean, I don't think we entirely outgrow this thing of the fact that if we're not taking chances, we're not really living. We don't feel like we're really, really, truly living.
Yeah. Well, the subtitle of this anthology is "True Tales of Reckless Youth."
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of summarizes it. I think not everybody is risk taking or stupid all the time, but everybody has their moments. They've all done something either intentionally or unintentionally.
Usually it's accidental. When you're young, it's the first few times by accident. Oh, I didn't know this was dangerous.
Yeah. Or sometimes you just are just too brave for your own good.
Oh, so yeah, life does that. Like, I mean, the classic example of that is, you get curious about like the heat on the stove, touch stove,
Mm-hmm.
ouch, ow, 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 ow. Yeah, you do it once, never do it again.
Yeah, that's how you learn. Kids make mistakes, and it's all part of the process. But we're here. We're still here. So
yeah,
either somebody was looking out for us, or
yeah. Oh, I truly do. I do think someone's looking out for us by and large. I do have that. I do have that faith. Just some of my own life experiences made me go, yep, someone's there. Thank you. Right. God, I do stupid shit sometimes, but thank you. That's our nature. I think it's how we learn. If there wasn't stakes, even if there were like small ones, we wouldn't evolve. So I mean, it's part of the process. I actually was talking to a gentleman today, talking about something else entirely. It's like I think I like you accept the fact in this life you're going to get hurt. That's just that's just life. Like you're going to get hurt. The only real question is what do you want and what are you willing to do to pay for that?
Sure. Yeah. No, all the scars we got, those are each one is like a story. It's it tells where you've been, what you've gone through.
So okay? Let's go from less dangerous to just like really silly things or first time failures because those are fun too. I still remember like the first time I made chocolate chip cookies. I nearly killed my dad. I nearly killed my dad. It was fun, and I'm laughing because it's a silly story. What happened was it was home ec. It was my home ec class, and first weekend assignment was to make chocolate chip cookies. Get a recipe, make the cookies. Can we follow through and make it? I'm only taking half the blame for this because I actually had someone come in there to help me read and understand me because I like some things like teaspoon and tablespoon the first time you do this stuff. It's like so. I still remember this to this day. I asked my friend, who was the chef, who was actually a chef, go, okay, teaspoon or tablespoon? He misreads it. Goes tablespoon. Baking soda. So my dad, when he ate the cookies later on that night, he literally almost bent over. Like it was that. It was that. It was that. That.
Oh no.
Oh, they're that hideous. Oh yeah, no. It was one of those situations. Like I made the cookies. They were bad. They were bad. But I did learn how to bake, and I can actually make a mean lemon meringue pie. Now I can actually make those things. So I mean, but I still remember like the first time you don't always get it right. The first time you might kill somebody.
My experiments in the kitchen were more like a little bit more chaotic. Not like I didn't necessarily have like such a clear plan of like, oh, I'm going to try to make chocolate chip cookies. It was more like, oh, I'm going to just make a magic potion by mixing every single thing in the kitchen I can find. And I think I remember I had some big like Pyrex container of black sludge that I literally added like every single ingredient from the kitchen, and it was like actually starting to bubble. And
so
and of course I took it outside to show the kids next door, and it ended up spilling on their on their their front walkway, and it left a stain that never came off ever. Like years later, it was still there.
It's like what happened. You permanently colored the cement. The cement just you gave it some color.
I guess so, yeah.
You gave cement a tattoo. That's how you tattoo cement, folks. You put everything in the kitchen. You know how. All right. You didn't have a master plan. You were just like, I'm going to put shit together and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I started off, with all the standard, baking soda, vinegar, and let's make it, bubble up, that kind of stuff. But, next thing I was doing, just random spices and soy sauce and everything out of the pantry. And
that sounds oddly terrifying, actually, considering what you can do with that. But I have some old cookbooks from like old eras, and yeah, I mean, some of that stuff they tell you don't put this stuff together. There's a reason you don't put some of this stuff together. But sounds like you learned. So, did you become a chemist when you grew up?
My dad was a chemist, so maybe I was a little bit of emulating him. I like to watch. I like to watch the show Mr. Wizard. That was a big one from my childhood. He was sort of like part science, part magician. Mm-hmm. So I think that might have been like kind of what led me to wanting to be a magician. That's other than comics. That's the other trajectory I have. So I'm comics and magic.
So you're an actual magician?
I am. I do. That was one of the reasons why I was kind of getting a little bit away from making comics, was because I'd been trying to gear up my magic business over the summer. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of shows like this past few months. October, December are pretty busy months for magicians in terms of
it's a time October.
What
October?
I think it's Halloween. I think a lot of people associate Halloween with magic, so that it seems like a good time to do magic show. People are kind of in that sort of, spells and stuff
So so
mindset.
so when we're talking magic, we're talking sleight of hand? Or are we
Yeah, I do
talking
sleight of
some
hand and all that kind of stuff.
okay,
Mhm.
okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite trick to perform?
It varies from time to time. I have been doing a lot of stuff with rubber bands lately. That's one of the things I like to do close up, where I do all kinds of crazy things with rubber bands, where I'll make it jump from my hand onto somebody else's hand, or I make the rubber bands like switch places or go through my fingers, that kind of thing.
Ah, so you have so just so not card tricks right now or escapes. You don't do anything like that.
I do card tricks. I do bigger illusions, but I've been doing a lot of like close up magic too. So what I do, one of the ones I like to do is it's like an all time classic. It's called the linking rings. It's usually done with anywhere from 4 to 8 big metal rings, and you make them link together and unlink, and eventually they form a chain. And sometimes they make like you can arrange them into different kind of configurations to make different patterns. Um, so that's one of the ones from like from that goes back to in magic history. But I've been doing that one for like 20 years now, so I've gotten really good at it.
So that's your is that your go to? Use that
I think
as
that's I think that's the one, like when I want to like really impress people with like just pure like skill. I think that one really impresses them because I do it with rings that I can do like right in front of their right in front of them. Like, I don't have to be like far away, or they can actually um, hold the rings and touch them and be a part of it. So I think anytime you can involve somebody and they can interact, I think it adds that additional level to it.
yeah, no, totally. So what's your stage name?
I used to go by the stage name Geo, but I've I started to rebrand a little bit under my regular name, um, with the subtitle of The Retro Magician, because I wanted to try to find a way to kind of meld magic back into my comics interest. So what I was doing was, those like ads that they used to run in like the comics from like the 70s and the 80s.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was trying to like take some of those ads and do magic that was like based on those things. So for example, I have a trick like with like the sea monkeys that they used to advertise. So I have a trick with like where I have a little sea monkeys tank that I say there's sea monkeys floating around in, and then I have somebody take the world's tiniest deck of cards, so small that you can't see it, and I have them name a card that they want the sea monkeys to find, and we drop it into the water, and then I say the sea monkeys are gonna find the card that they named, and reverse it in the deck, so it'll be the only one facing the wrong way. And then I hold like a little net over here, and I hold the sea monkey tank over here, and then there's like a little squirt of water as it comes. I say, oh, there's going, and you see a deck of cards drop into the net, so like it just kind of appeared out of the air, and I take out the deck of cards, and take it out of the box, and I spread them, and the card they named is reversed in the deck.
That's a cool trick.
So I do stuff with like the sea monkeys. I do stuff with the Hostess fruit pies used to run all the ads, and like the Charles Atlas strength builders. So I do a thing that combines both of those, where I talk about how they used the comics as a way, like a marketing tool, like to try to trick the kids into reading the ad by making it look like it was part of the comic.
Hmm.
So So, but the problem is after they read all the Hostess fruit pies, they'd want to eat them, and the kids would gain a bunch of weight, but then they could get buff again by doing the Charles Atlas muscle course. So then I do a little magic trick that involves both Hostess fruit pie and the Charles Atlas muscle course, where I do I wave like a cloth in front of me, and my T-shirt changes from like a regular T-shirt to like a T-shirt that's like printed with like a muscle man like on it.
So you got this really nailed down. That
yeah, and then in my muscle form, then I take a deck of cards and I do a strength feat where I rip I do this for real, where I rip a deck of cards in half. And I have somebody select a half of the card, and then when they pull it out, it's got cherry filling on it.
Oh, geez.
I say, it's kind of strange, and we look for the other half, and it's gone. And then I take out the cherry Hostess fruit pie out of the box, and I break it in half, and the other half of the card they picked is inside the Hostess fruit pie.
Okay, that's interesting. So why so I guess I gotta do this. I know you're interested in comics because you're making them, but why the 70s? Like I always would think that a magician and a superhero aren't that different. Like you look at Zatanna, right, which is the magician everybody knows in comics.
Yeah,
she's a superhero, but she's also got a persona that performs on the stage.
Right.
If you sit there and think about it, they're not that different, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One fights crime, one performs tricks for money, right? Sure. So, and she's oddly wearing the same uniform both times. Like that's the thing with her, right? So, but a magician and a superhero aren't really that different. I mean, seriously, you show up, you got a different persona, you have superpowers, you create illusions all the time. Right. So I mean, maybe a pro wrestler, maybe a rock star, but if you sit there and think about it, like all these kind of jobs, right? They're trying to become someone else or someone larger than life. And what's more larger in life than a superhero?
Somebody who has powers beyond that of the mortal man, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So you look to a rock star, right? They got the power to sway a crowd. Look at a magician, though. You conjure things out of thin air.
Exactly.
Right? And you somehow have found a way to put a half of a deck of card into a Hostess cream pie, right? Which honestly, at that point, you should be contacting Hostess like, hey, guys, listen.
Sponsorship.
Yeah, why not? Why not? You might have to say a spiel. By the way, I want to thank the lovely people of Hostess for giving me these fruit pies to do this.
Yeah, well, did you know that the Hostess fruit pie used to have a mascot? It was a Hostess fruit pie the magician.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
So is that where the inspiration for that is?
No, that was just something that I came that I in the course of my research I came across. So okay. Yeah, he was just literally a fruit pie with like a top hat and a cape.
Okay, cool. I forgot. I don't recall, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't recall. You know what I mean? So let me think here. How do I put this? Okay, so you're bringing back all the nostalgia of the comics of the 70s and the 80s. So I'm assuming that's your era of comics.
Yeah. I was a child of the 80s. That's where I grew up. So that's kind of my we were talking about the things that we own and whether or not we like to look back on them or not, and whether that brings us joy. And for me, the stuff from my childhood, the things that I played with and the comics I read and the toys and the video games, like that's all stuff that to me kind of is very comforting, very very fun to think about and to kind of hold it again and to revisit. So yeah, and it's also a little bit, I admit it's a little bit trendy these days with the Stranger Things and all that. So I'm not adverse to trying to capture a little bit of some of
Yeah,
that too.
yeah. Well, trends come and go, right? But
Sure,
but it's about what you love, right? And if you love that
sure.
era, there's nothing wrong with loving that era. Like I got into comics in 1990. Okay, so long
Yeah.
ago I got that. So I was 8 years old or around 9 years old time, and like 88, 89, 90, like that era was when I got into it. It really got into it, and my first comics were from the DC era, from the DC comics from that era, and
Okay.
yeah. So I mean, I'm always gonna have a soft spot for some of those ones, but I mean, the '90s might be the hip trend next year. Like I'm officially that old, where now everybody's looking at the '90s as nostalgia now, right?
It's starting to happen. Yeah, the '90s is, I think, the next big thing.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about it. It's like I grew up with. I mean, that was the Super Nintendo. That was Nirvana. That was like
Yeah, I'm
that
even starting to see a little bit of 2000s nostalgia.
that will creep in. That will creep in the next 5 years. Like all the old eras have.
Yeah, I
Ugh.
think I think the magic number is like 25 years out
Mhm.
from it. I think
Yeah.
once you get 25 years out from it, that's when the people that were like kids from that era have matured into adults with their own disposable income. I think that's the magic ingredient. You have to have grown up in that era and now be enough removed that you're now an independent adult who wants to recapture it in some way.
Oh yeah. No. Like I. No, it's funny because I'm going through my stuff, right, and I'm looking at all some of that stuff makes me go, "Aw," in the feels, right in the feels.
Yeah,
Some of it's like, I can't. I just,
yeah. Well, I mean,
right?
you can see it a lot in terms of like what kind of like movies get adapted. Like if you look at like what movies were coming out back in like the early '90s, it was all like stuff from 25 years earlier. Like it was like movie adaptations of like the Flintstones and movie adaptations of Lost in Space. It was like all the stuff that the movie executives grew up with when they were kids.
Oh yeah.
So it just keeps cut. The window just keeps getting shifted. So now and so then it became Transformers, and now it's becoming.
I might finally see a proper Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie in the next 5 years. That's
Yeah.
that's the only thing that happens there.
Well, they did
Because
try one. What, like a couple years ago?
I don't know. I don't know if it was Power Rangers. I maybe. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. There was one that came out a couple of years ago.
Oh wow. See, I missed it. I'm not cool. I'm not cool,
Oh,
Jeff.
well, I
I
missed
missed.
it too, but I was too old for Power Rangers. I was already like a teenager by the time Power Rangers came out. So
Yeah. Well, how about okay, so I guess the question is you must have been in the Ninja Turtles though.
I just missed the Ninja Turtles. I was like, by the time the Ninja Turtles like really hit their thing, like was like by the time I was entering middle school. So I was like already like I remember I got a Ninja Turtle toy for one of my birthdays one year, and I was a little bit like bummed. I was like, oh man, they think I'm a little kid.
Yeah. No, I get you. I get you. No, I was just old enough for Ninja Turtles and at that borderline for the start of Power Rangers. And as Power Rangers continued, I got too old for it. It was just like, yeah, it's not my thing.
Yeah, I was
Now,
just before Ninja Turtles. I was like with like He-Man and Transformers, and
hey man, He-Man's still the coolest toys in the universe. Like
yeah, yeah,
seriously,
yeah, yeah.
there's a buddy in town. He's got like an awesome, authentic Castle Grayskull. I mean,
Mm.
that's a cool fucking toy. Even to this day, that's still one of the coolest things ever. It's like Castle Grayskull is the shiz. It totally, totally is.
You know the one that I really liked was the slime pit. The,
Okay.
that was part of the they had the Shira companion series with like she was like the female He-Man,
Yep.
and it was basically the same exact series. It was just,
The same concept.
yeah. And I think they even crossed over. It was just
Yeah.
an expanded universe. But there was the villain from that series was Hordak. So He-Man had Skeletor, and She-Ra had Hordak, and there was the Hordak slime pit, and it looked like kind of like this like sort almost like a stone mound with like a dinosaur skull on top, and like a monster, like a giant monster claw that you could lever up to capture your action figure, like trap it against the side of the mountain. And then it came with a little canister of slime that you would pour into an opening at the back of the dinosaur skull, so it would ooze out of the dinosaur's mouth and drip down over your character, like enveloping him. And like the storyline, in world storyline, was like this was like his mind control process to turn them into like his mindless zombie servants.
Oh, okay.
And but there was nothing bigger to me than slime back in the 80s. Like it was everywhere. I loved slime. That was like the go-to toy, like at the grocery store vending machines that had like the little capsules. You could get the little spider rings or the bouncy balls, but the one I always went for was the little capsule of slime. And it was always like just like a small, the capsule didn't have a ton. It was just a small little like snot bubble, and it came in like these bright neon colors. But it had like this like weird chemical smell that I can't quite place. And this was prior. Nowadays, like everybody like has like this like very easy to make recipe for, you mix Elmer's glue and borax and boom, you got, and a little bit of food coloring, you got slime. It's good, and it makes a good slime. My kids love to do it, but it's not the exact same, whatever that probably caustic chemical formulation that we had in the 80s. It's not the same.
There might be reasons for that.
There probably is. And that slime that I played with was the reason that I got electrocuted in that story from Stupid Kids. No, I'm serious, because I loved monster movies. All right, I watched Frankenstein and all that, and how do they bring the monster to life? With lightning, right?
Yeah.
Well, I had gotten.
Oh my god.
I had gotten this playset. It was called Mad Scientist Monster Lab. All right, Mad Scientist Monster Lab. It came with all kinds of accessories. It came with slime, obviously. It came with like this kind of putty, like this like green Play-Doh like stuff that you would. There was like a plastic skeleton, and then you would form the putty around the skeleton to make like the flesh of the monster, and then you put it in this like little tank, and you'd pour in this powder, and you would watch it dissolve the flesh off the bones. And then there was a little thing of slime that they called living monster ice, and that was the slime that I was like, living monster ice. I bet with some electricity I could make it come to life for real. Let me test this theory. Got the coat hanger, put the little ball of this slime on the coat hanger, shoved the ends into the electric socket, zap, my lights, the circuit to my house went out. All the lights went out. My parents are downstairs. Geoff, what's going on up there? What happened? I'm too embarrassed to tell them what really happened.
Did you ever tell them years later?
No, they got the truth out of me eventually, but like at the time, I said, I was plugging in my Casio keyboard, and it sparked and burned my hands. I don't know what.
I have to say this conversation. Oh my god, that is awesome on so many levels. That is awesome. I can totally see it. See, so I mean, here's the other difference. It was just past my time, but it was in your time. You used to be able to get a basic chemistry set for kids. Now
Yeah.
you can't. Now you can't, which
Mm-mm.
sucks because that was the coolest shit ever, right?
Yeah,
But
well, my dad, who I told you was a chemist, that was like his big thing that he would, he would ask for Christmas. He's like, "Oh, I want a chemistry set, and with test tubes and like,
oh
half a
yeah,
dozen little vials of chemicals and different powders and
you take after your dad. I could definitely see it. I'm also willing to bet, although they probably had to yell at you, they probably had a really hard time keeping a straight face with you once you told them the truth, because it's like, what do we say? Like, right? Why did
they
you do
might
this?
think it's stupid, but they could at least understand my thought process.
Hey, no, hey, listen. Okay, I'll tell you the stupidest thing I've ever done. Like in terms of low thought process, shit happens. The first time I went to a go kart track. Okay,
Yeah.
first time I went to, I was 10 years old. Okay, so I don't know why this possessed me this way. So like getting the hang of the go kart, I sucked for the first like couple laps because I would constantly crash and all that stuff. But it was near the end that I okay. So this is the precursor. Okay, when I used to get off my bike, right, I wouldn't really hit the brakes. I would slow down and jump off. Somehow I had this idea that with the go kart, I could do the same thing. I could jump out. And sure enough, I did. Now the engine was mostly out, like done, but it still like forward momentum. So the car kept going and going. I've never. There's the only time in my life I've ever seen a go kart operator literally do a leap out of the way from the.
Die for his life.
Yeah, he died for his life. I nearly killed the go kart
Oh
operator,
my god.
and I was banned. I don't know if that ban still exists. It's been a long time since I've been to East Park, but I was banned from that go kart track like ever, just based on the fact I nearly killed the go kart operator. Right, but my thought process was really simple. I still remember it to this day. It was, well, it worked on my bike. I would stop and get off, and it never occurred to me that the reason it worked with my bike is because I was still in control of the bike. Right? That I mean, it's a small thing. Right? So, Geoff, here is to stupid kids doing stupid things till the end of time. Right? So
Yeah, for real.
for real,
Definitely.
you try okay, just from a, I just want to know, this might be the silliest question I've ever asked on this show. Let's say you had succeeded somehow, some way, and the monster came to life. What would you have done with it?
My pet. Make it my pet.
That was your plan? That was your whole plan?
I I think, I mean, isn't that what you do when you have like a little monster, like a little gremlin or a mogwai or something? Yeah.
I'm not sure. They might not take kindly to being pets, though, right? I mean, what do you feed the slime thing? I mean,
I guess
it
I guess
creates.
I figured it would be grateful to me for bringing it life, that it would be at least, even if it was, gonna eat other people, it wouldn't eat me.
Oh,
Out of gratitude.
Okay. How old were you?
Oh gosh. I was probably like maybe 9 or 10.
Now your 10-year-old you was awesome. What are you gonna do? Make a pet? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
What does it
Yeah.
eat? I don't know. Maybe other people. Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that what the blob ate people? Yeah.
Yeah, blob ate people. So I mean, oddly okay, like oddly okay with that. 9 years old. I don't know whether I should applaud you or I should be afraid of you. I mean, that's and yet, and so from a chemist trying to make a pet slime, oh, okay. I have to say, would you have done the it's alive thing?
Yes, yeah, I
Yep.
had that in my mind. That moment, I was waiting for that moment. I was all geared up, ready to, if it hadn't gone disastrously wrong, those would have been the
See,
words out of my mouth.
we have here. You see, what we have literally have described here is what your Kickstarter video should have been. Seriously, you should have taken a no. I'm serious. This is what you should have done. You should have gotten like a lab coat. You should have gotten like something that looks slimy. People get the idea of slime. You hook it up to like one of those table things. You legitimately plug it into a thing with a coat. Like I've just turned the switch off, but you plug into the thing with the coat hanger. You flip the switch, right? And then you get to do the it's alive thing. You got this like evil slime monster chasing you down, and that would be like your whole pitch for your story. I'm serious. I do you know how many people would have popped for that?
That's a good one. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's not too late. We're running the whole month, so
Well, okay. I mean, I'm just saying, you know, although you only got so much time in the month to make a movie. So I'm just saying, like that just feels like such a slam dunk. Like the story you just told here, just tell like, what if the monster had come to life, right? What would have happened? And then you could just like, you know, and make
if
it like really cheesy, like super freaking cheesy. It's
if
cheesy as
how about this? How about this? If we hit our goal this month, I will make that movie.
you should put that on as an actual. You should put that in as your actual goal. Legit. Like
Like a little
so.
little
So
bonus.
my no my first so this is my first Kickstarter is going to happen in the spring. Okay.
Yeah.
If I get 200 backers, I will actually go do a karaoke, and I will have my backers vote for the 10 songs I butcher live, and
Nice.
I will actually make record it. Right. It'll take about a month from the once the funding is in. It'd take about a month and a half. It'd be a month and a half later, right? Because I'm going to rehearse. If I'm going to butcher a song, I'm going to do it properly.
Sure. Yeah, I'll make that same deal. Yeah, 200 backers. I hit 200 backers. I make the movie version of how I wanted it to happen in my mind.
Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, I guarantee you people would pop.
I can do that. I'll put that on there. That's
Yeah.
thank you for the suggestion.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No. It's just it writes itself. It writes itself. It's an incredible story. Okay, so we're almost at the hour up. So let's see. So what are your goals next year besides this comic and this anthology? Like, are you going to be doing more single solitary things again, or do you want to do more anthologies? What's the goal?
I'm in the process of drawing a story for somebody else's anthology. I'm
Mm-hmm.
working on that this month. This is going to be for the second um, book in the Not So Fair Tales anthology series. I had a story in the first one, which was sort of fairy tales with a twist.
Mm-hmm.
So my fairy tale in the first one was the Emperor's New Battle Mech instead of the Emperor's New Clothes. And this second book is fables with a twist. So I'm doing the Scorpion and the Frog fable, except instead of a literal scorpion and a literal frog, they're heavy metal bands, and the scorpions are sort of like the more grungy, metal band, and the frogs are the more clean cut, goody band, and then the scorpions. Tour van is broken down on the side of a desert road, so they catch a ride on the Frogs tour bus. And their hard partying ways ends up running it off the road.
Aha. Okay. Okay. See, there are a couple ways you could have gone there, and yeah, it sounds like fun. Sounds like you're going to be there. And how about your magician career? You're gonna keep expanding that?
I'm gonna keep pressing ahead. I don't know if you are into any of like the video game conventions. There's a big one called MagFest that I'm going to be performing at the beginning of January. So that one is I'm looking forward to. incorporating some of my more 80s and video game related routines. I'll be doing some stuff involving like having somebody from the audience play a game of Space Invaders, and their score will match my high score from when I was a child.
Oh, nice. So you're going to help them win, or they're going to make you look really bad, one or the other. But either way, the score is going to be the same.
Yeah, I'll have the old Polaroid of me, up on the slideshow, and then when they finish playing, the scores will match. Yeah.
Magic is a wondrous thing. So you're going to keep pursuing these things as a full-time gig, or are they going to be side gigs for the rest of your life? Like, what do you want to do with all this ultimately?
Yeah, at the moment, I don't plan to do them full time. I plan to keep them as side gigs, but I'm always open to the possibility that, as I keep going, and if I ever get to the point where, I don't need the day job.
Yeah. I came this close. Oh my God, I came this close this year. I'll get there next year for sure. I'm pretty certain of it. It takes a lot of work, but if you got but I mean, it's about what you want, man. It's about what you want. So
sure.
Yeah. So I gotta ask. So Space Invaders, your favorite all-time video game from that era?
One of them, yeah.
What's the other one?
I really was into Frogger. That was a good one.
Frogger's fun.
Yeah. Missile Command.
Okay, that's an okay one. But I remember Frogger. Frogger was always fun. It was always fun to. I did enjoy watching him die, though. I'm not gonna lie. I was a sadistic kid. I was sadistic. Sometimes I would play bad on purpose just to watch him go. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you heard it. I'm a horrible person too. It's all good. Well, sir, I think we have an interview here. What do you think?
I think so. Hey, it was a lot of fun talking with you today.
Yeah. So on that note, looks like I got botted right at the very end here, which is kind of cool. But before I disappear, where can people find your Kickstarter?
It is Stupid Kids is the name of it. If you're just searching for it by name, Stupid Kids: True Tales of Reckless Youth. The link to it is bit.ly/Stupid Kids.
Oh, okay, I found it another way. So hopefully here. This goes right to New Year's, it looks like. That is.
Yep. Up through the end of the month.
That it was, Jag. That it was. I hope you listened to the story about how he tried to bring this line to life. Like, that was literally part of the podcast today, which I never had my own "It's a Lie" moment on the show, but this was a first for me, folks. So this is Geoff's Stupid Kids, ladies and gentlemen. This is his Kickstarter. So if you remember the silly things you did as a kid, whatever they might be, right? This anthology is for you. Who are some of the other creators in on this? You can name a few names here.
Sure. Yeah, I got John Eddington II. I got Ryan Kriboth. I got Mauricio Cordero. Oh, if anybody is into some of the more famous YouTube channels, there's a famous YouTube channel called Good Mythical Morning, and it's a pretty big channel that has a chef on there, Mythical Chef Josh, and he has a story in this book about the time that he and his brother opened a lemonade stand in front of a 99-cent store, and then the owner came up and demanded rent.
Yeah.
And
but
yeah. he figured it's okay because he was stealing the lemonade ingredients from the store.
Oh God.
So it all balances
out. God. I don't know how to top that. I really just don't know how to top that. I think this is a good place to walk away. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have advertising services. I make videos, words, audios, and pictures. I use my podcasts. I use my channels to advertise your works. If you're interested, definitely take a look at right there. And don't worry for being a ghost jag. Don't worry at all. It's been a weird month for me too. So don't worry about it. And that will do it for today's episode of Just Joshing. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow, Melissa Todd, publisher, writer extraordinaire, will be my guest. I want to thank Geoff for his Frankenstein story. It was awesome. So definitely check out his Kickstarter. Check out my work. And for everybody watching, everybody listening, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.